I think Brian was an inquisitive person. He obviously loved people, and he loved every new challenge that came along.
You know, he was positive, enthusiastic. He was a dreamer, not a limiter. And you know, in many times in our life, you know, we come up with an idea and somebody tells you what all the limits are to that or why it can't be done, or whatever. You know, he would embrace it. He would welcome it. He would get excited about it. He'd get energized, and that just felt good. And it was a creative process. And he carefully listened. He was a listener. He wasn't out to try and win an award or do this or do that. He was out to do great work with people that he liked to do work with.
Brian was one of my best friends, and whenever I didn't know what to do, I'd call Brian up and I'd say, well, what do you think? And he'd say, well, do that. And I never even questioned it, I just did it. And I miss that.
He was the first principal that gave me the opportunity to stand in front of a client comfortably and share ideas. Knowing, of course, that the second I would deviate or say something that needed reinforcement, he'd be there.
He was a larger-than-life character. And certainly when you were a guest in his home, it was the nicest place to be. He was an amazing host.
The president of Van Bots, I think, turned 40. And Brian and I dressed up in complete drag as two of his former girlfriends. High heels, the whole thing. And we sang. All I can say is, you haven't lived, you've seen Mr. Curtner trying to struggle into a pair of pantyhose.
He had this very persuasive way about him. He could be stubborn, but he just had this incredible, very gracious character. You know, he really wanted to know what kind of made you tick and what you were interested in. So we hit it off right away. And then when I got to work with him in his office and the way he worked with his other partners and associates and staff, and just a very collegial approach, and you know, I was really part of that team, and I really enjoyed that experience.
You know, I always looked to Brian as a mentor. I learned a lot from Brian. He had exceptional business skills. He was great with people. He was a terrific role model, and we all miss him.
He was a really big picture guy. You know, he didn't worry too much about getting into the weeds. He was up at it looking from, you know, 50, maybe 100,000 feet. Much of that big picture thinking is what's really pushed the way that Quadrangle has evolved.
Brian and Les brought very different skill sets to the table. They didn't always agree on everything by a long shot, but they had undying support for each other. And that's probably one of the biggest lessons I learned from the two of them, was the power of setting aside minor differences and moving on a shared path to a shared vision.
I think it's fair to say that I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't been Brian's partner. I would like to think that were he here today, he would say the same thing about me. He used to joke that we had two very different jobs. His job was to throw the bomb into the middle of the room, and my job was to put everything back together again afterwards. He was a guy who challenged everything and personified our notion of don't believe your own bullshit. Don't rest on your laurels. Today I can still see his desk. It still causes me pain because when I had something I had to talk about, he was the man I wanted to talk to.